Now here's an excellent tip. Because today's soup has seafood in it, I'd like to make a suggestion. In my previous recipes, we used shrimp and lobster. Save the shells, throw them in the freezer, because today's clam chowder is a perfect opportunity to use those shells. It will enhance the flavors by cooking those shells into today's stock that we will now prepare for the base of this soup. Try it next time and you'll love it. Now go ahead and cook that 1 pound of bacon, but you only need 9 pieces, so you can freeze the rest, but you'll need all that leftover grease. Take those 9 pieces and dice them up and put them on the side. In the meantime, start those 4 red potatoes boiling on the stove. Later you will cool them, peel them, and dice them into squares. Now for home use, it's really hard to find a good chicken base that's not salty. That's why I recommend Mrs. Grass chicken noodle soup. You will need to boil 6 cups of water and then whisk in those 2 packages and set it on the side. Now open those cans of clams over a colander so you can strain off the juice. Go through the clams and look for broken shells. Here's a tip. Take the juice, let it sit in the bowl, and then any sediment like sand or dirt particles can settle to the bottom. Then after about 10 minutes, take a large spoon and skim off the juice into another bowl. When you get down to the sediment, disregard the juice. Okay, so now let's dice up the onion and the celery, throw it in the 6-quart pot, and let's tenderize that. Then you can add in the clam juice and the 2 teaspoons of butter, the nutmeg, the thyme, and the parsley. We'll leave the salt and pepper to the end. Throw in the chicken broth, and here's where I add in my lobster shells, and I simmer it for about 15 minutes. Now I'm going to start working on my roux. Later on we'll add the bacon and the cream. So we already strained our bacon grease. So now we're going to put it in a pot and we're going to warm it up. I'm going to show you how to make roux, which is how we're going to thicken the soup and give it body and the viscosity of thickness we're looking for. You're going to use about 6 to 9 teaspoons of flour. We're going to add them one at a time and we're going to whisk them in till they're nice and smooth. Each time you add a tablespoon, it's going to get thicker and thicker. Here, look at the video. Look how thick it turned out. Now we're going to go back to our pot. We're going to add in our diced bacon and our 18% cream, and then we're going to bring that to a simmer, and we're going to slowly start whisking in a little bit of the roux, a little bit at a time, whisking continuously until we reach the thickness we want. Now, as you can see, I almost used all of that roux already. Now the soup is starting to really come together. All I need to do now, the last thing, is add the clams. Now that the clams are in, you can add a little bit of ground pepper. And I would taste the recipe before I add salt, because I use the clam juice right from the clam cans that I open, and sometimes it's really, really salty. So always test it first. And then you can serve it with a nice lemon wedge. Obviously we're trying to use the least amount of roux as possible, being that it's not real healthy for you. Let's also not forget that this is the critical stage when you add the roux and you thicken the soup. This is where you have to be concerned about burning the bottom of the pot once the soup gets thick. You know what a lot of restaurants, what a lot of cooks, what a lot of chefs won't tell you is this recipe here will kill you. It's not healthy for you. You try to substitute something instead of butter, use Promise. Instead of heavy cream, I use light cream. But I only eat this recipe maybe once every year. So everything in moderation. But the reason why I do eat it is because it is an absolutely fantastic recipe. Love that sound.